Hey everybody, this is Rory McDonald from MacDon and Associates coming to you with the next episode of Tuesdays with Rory. I have today Erik Schardt, Shardy, owner of BRUKA Solutions here in Macomb County, here in Clinton Township, Michigan, actually Macomb Township, Michigan, correct? Yep. Excited to have him on. He is a recruiter. You're a business recruiter for several local businesses as well as ones that are nationwide in terms of finding them people to come in and work. But I clearly don't know as much really about this as you do, my friend. I will let you just kind of explain who you are, what you're all about, and your business.
Oh, no. Thanks for having me. And basically, BRUKA Solutions, we're a private recruiting firm. We do a lot of executive searches, mainly private search for a company. So we're actually contracted by different companies, whether it's in manufacturing, technology, logistics, insurance. And we essentially meet with the, whether it's the owner of the company, HR, sales, whatever it may be. And, talk to them, get down to the nitty gritty and try to find them some people.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is one of the things that just in our conversation talking, the actual like nitty gritty of finding somebody. Like I've hired people here at MacDon Associates. My business partner, Brian, he's hired people when it comes to, the insurance side. And I know other local business owners, this is something that it seems like it's hard to find good workers that stick with you for a long period of time. And from what I've heard, just based off of our conversations, the difference between that individual business going out and trying to find somebody versus a recruiting firm, preferably one that's more local, right? Like you are, being in a position to go out and find somebody, there's a bigger difference between the two. Can you touch on that a little bit too?
Yeah. Actually, it's something they've done over the years in business where they found that recruiting firms can actually save them money in the long run. So that's kind of what we're there for. A lot of the companies, they just have too much work on their plate. Maybe not a large enough talent acquisition team or HR, depending on how it's built up. And the reason why they save money using us in the long run is that we typically find and vet the people. It takes a little bit longer than what their team might be able to do, depending on the size. So really, when we sit down with them and talk to them and whatever role it may be, we kind of find out what they want as a background, what they've built up over the years. And then we really vet like the personality and before we even send them over to the HR team or hiring manager.
I gotcha. So it's more than just like somebody turning in a resume and then handing it over to the business and going, here you go.
Yes.
Right. Like there's a process that exists and almost like an interview process with you directly. Can you explain that too? Like the process that exists?
Yeah. Like I said, so whatever they kind of give us as we go through and search, whether it's, LinkedIn, whatever tool we have to find the targeted approach. So finding that background. LinkedIn's a big tool for that. So we'll go through, find that, and then we'll set up a time to meet, whether it's, on a Zoom or a phone call, depending on the, the person's time or the candidate's time, and really ask some questions. One about, the background that we were looking at from them, but mainly getting into what they like to do.
Yeah.
Really seeing what kind of personality they have. And that's kind of the big fit and the main thing after that background, since most likely we've found that person with the background that they want before we even talk to them. Now it's seeing, are they going to be the right fit? And that is a benefit from, either knowing the hiring manager personally, or maybe just, good communication with them if it's a new company that we have, or we know somebody that we know what kind of culture they want, or that they already have, depending on, where they're growing at. And that's really kind of what we're keying in there, is really find that fit. Because if it's not a good fit personality wise, it's most likely not going to work out.
Yeah, no, that's something that I can definitely respect a ton, because I had people on recently, and one of the big conversations that we've had over the last probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks of just having people on the podcast is the importance of community, both in like just an individualistic of the people that are around you in your community, as well as from a business perspective, like who you work with is important, right?
Yeah.
Like we've sat down with real estate agents here at MacDon, and like, especially being a part of EXP, which for those of you who are listening, like being a part of EXP, it's a company that exists and they do a ton of recruiting. Like, I'm not saying anything that any real estate agents don't know already. We've sat down with people and literally went, nah, I don't want to share an office with you.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like you might sell X number of houses per year, but you're not the kind of person that I want in this office. It was so nice meeting with you. Have a great day.
Happens a lot, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And I think back to that and the time spent having the conversations prior to sitting down with that person, right? Like how much time did that actually take? And you might look at it and go, it's not that much time. It's not that big of a deal. But the reality is that's less time that I'm now dedicating to selling homes.
Yep.
And now I sit down with them and we have a half hour, 45 minute, maybe an hour long conversation, which ends up leading to going, now we know for sure this, I don't want this. Right. And that the simply like taking that whole piece out of the equation is huge. So it's almost like a final interview is when they actually sit down with the business. Correct. Is that how?
Yeah, it can still go through a process, depending on whatever process the company has.
Okay.
But we're that first kind of vetting, and then typically it'll be a couple, whether they have to meet with either HR or maybe if they're a sales director of sales, and then, maybe a VP after. It kind of just depends, what the company process is, or even if we need to help them to make a quicker process, kind of help them out. Cause, kind of like you just mentioned, spending all that time and everything you're taking away from making money. And it's the same, whether it's sales or you're in a production line, and everything's time and money.
Yep.
And as they evaluate that, usually helps them out a little bit. So, it really goes by the process of what the company has, but we'll take the time, obviously talk to them, vet them as much as we can, and, send, as we call good candidates over, and, at least go through most of them, probably I'd say about 90% of them, 85% will get to the final interview, with whatever company they're at.
Sure.
It's like we said, we're targeting what the company wants.
Yep.
And obviously both interests have to, connect at the end.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I know we've talked about this a lot. We're in an office full of a bunch of hockey guys. I'm a football guy. I loved hockey growing up and don't play it. I'm just not built for it. But I know the importance because I've been a part of teams in the past, right? So like I played football growing up. I've been a part of baseball teams, like on a small scale, like high school level. But the kind of the importance of knowing that the guy next to you is going to be able to accomplish their job and do what they're expected, right? Like you go back and you look at great football teams or hockey teams that existed in the past. Like, for example, the New England Patriots, and they were winning all their Super Bowls, right? Like their big thing was just do your job, right? Like don't focus on the guy next to you. It doesn't matter what anybody else has going on. Just do your job. Right.
Right.
And because of that, they became this cohesive unit that won a lot of championships and a lot of Super Bowls and dominated the AFC North, right? Like or East, maybe they're the East. No, they're the AFC North because our Steelers are in the,
I was going to say,
I need to remember that. All that being said, I really wanted you to, touch on that more than anything too, is like, when these businesses hire you, they're not just hiring this outside recruiting firm to come in and bring people in. They're really bringing you on. And this is the thing that I was impressed in our conversation, specifically talking about BRUKA Solutions, is they're bringing you on as an extension of who it is that they are and what it is that they're trying to accomplish. So the vision of the company, the means of how it gets done, like there's an understanding that has to exist from your perspective for you to know exactly who you're looking for, so that you're able to know, okay, I know this connection and I know this vision because I know the owner, I know the CEO, I know the recruiter at the company. Now I know what I'm looking for as a member of that team. Right.
Correct.
So, yeah, I mean, I'll let you give your perspective on that. I don't want to answer for you, but
oh no,
yeah,
it's one thing, you know, going back to the team sports, I think it's really important. You know, I guess it's kind of outside the point. Have kids now, and I'm, you know, want them to be in team sports, just mainly to learn how to work with the team. There's not many jobs out there that you can do as an individual. You know, you have to be able to take responsibility, accountability, but also have that work ethic. And this thing, anybody who's done team sports, one, you got to have a work ethic or you can't survive.
Yep.
And two, you're able to adapt with people. You're not going to like everybody, but you're, you know, respect them, you know what to do. And same, you know, if it's a sales position, I mean, all salespeople can get into it with one another, but at the end of the day, it's constructive criticism. So, you know, you could help out your coworker. They can help you out, but at the end of the day, it's to make as much money as you can for whatever position you're in, you know, in sales, whatever you're selling. So they have a lot of good traits, like ex-athletes, ex-military. You know, they kind of have an outset overlook of how it's going to be before they get in and kind of know everyone. So they know how to kind of talk to people. And I guess if you want to call it work the room, depending where they're at and
woo some people. Yeah. No, that's good. I like I said, I just really wanted to hit that piece because you're coming from the perspective of not just somebody who I got you somebody, right? Like that's the big thing that I wanted to communicate in this is like the I don't want to say the difference between BRUKA and other recruiting firms. Cause I honestly, like, I don't know any other recruiting firms because of the communication that we've had. It almost is like, I don't even know that I need to, you know what I mean? Like, and it helps that we work in the same office, which if you guys are out there and you are local business owner, which I know as a means of protecting your clients, keeping their information private is something that's important. And that was like the first thing that he said coming in here is like, listen, hey, I'm just not naming any of the companies that I work with. But with that being said, what are some of the areas that you feel like BRUKA really thrives in? Like, I know you mentioned the manufacturing. You talked about sales a little bit. Are there any areas that you look at and you go like, hey, we rock it in this area?
Honestly, the supply chain technology has really been the key there for us growing and the learning or knowing the positions that they have open, because everything's growing so much on that side. I mean, we see it in, and I'll say logistics as well, because it kind of interacts with each other. You know, where a lot of people never realize, including myself, for a long period of time, that all these logistics companies, all the warehouses, all the huge companies that everybody buys off of, they all have to have a system in place, and that's their supply chain technology, moving through, whether it's a warehouse management system, transport management system, which is TMS, which is a lot of the trucks use and whatnot. There's also railroads, yard management systems. There's just a lot out there, and it really goes into their efficiency of getting everything out. Obviously, you know, through the sales, their inventory, and making them more effective. I'll kind of remember in the pandemic there where everything was getting locked down. You weren't getting anything. You weren't able to buy anything. A lot of these systems allow the customers, you know, whether it's a business buying from another company or product, whatever it may be, to actually see it on the way there. So it's similar to maps on your phone.
Okay.
In a way, so you can kind of see where everything is. And then, logistics, those two fields have been growing really quick. And one big thing where there's, especially in the state of Michigan, I'm not sure if people realize it, but manufacturing is growing nonstop here. And it's a really good industry to be in and work, because you can maintain that career. You can grow typically within the companies. And there's, smaller ones, and there's large ones, and there's a lot of good, tenured people there.
Yeah.
That have good livings and a good work environment.
Yeah. So it gives people a lot of opportunity in terms of like, hey, this might be a really good opportunity for you to jump into and be a part of this particular company. Right.
Right.
Which with that being said, let's just say I know primarily what you do is working with a lot of the companies when it comes to finding them employees. On the flip side, if there's somebody out there that's just like, hey, I've just been looking and looking and looking and looking, and I can't find anything. If you see this, can you give me a call? Is that something that, if it was out there, that you do as well?
Yeah. Also, most of mine or our company is private.
Okay.
So private searches. But I will say, as a whole, if you're looking for a job, and a lot of people have gotten laid off or let go, definitely a tough spot. But I would say, especially if you've been in the workforce for a bit, look at a recruiting company.
Sure.
They have a lot of jobs in different areas, and maybe areas that person may not be experienced with. It could be something brand new to them. They may not even know, something's out there.
Yeah.
But one thing that I will say is, if you're looking, I would recommend going through a recruiter or recruiting firm, mainly because if you're just applying at, XYZ company, you just send in your resume online. They have their CRM system or AI system that has their key points. And if you're missing one or two of those, depending on how they have it set up, your resume's not going to get looked at.
Just becomes irrelevant.
Yeah. So that's one I'd say downfall as you're searching. And, I see a lot, obviously I'm on LinkedIn a lot, and see a lot of posts on there, applied to 100 jobs or 50 jobs. I haven't got anything. That's a lot of the reason why it's not to devalue that individual person looking. It's the unfortunate landscape of what a good amount of companies have to do in order to survive. Because like I said before, that's kind of where we come into play as a recruiting firm, is they most likely don't have that time to get through that. So they have to use the AI, or they may not have a talent acquisition team, whatever it may be with that individual company. But if you get to a firm, a lot of them have jobs listed. So you can go through and search as well.
Okay. So that's a really good thing. For those of you who are out there looking for jobs right now, looking for positions, get involved with the recruiting company, which is huge. That's awesome. And then obviously we are in Metro Detroit, which is in a lot of ways manufacturing capital of the world. There's a lot of manufacturing for vehicles. Houses, so many things are happening in this area. And if somebody is a business, maybe they're a supplier or, another sales job. Is it okay if I touch on involvement in the office here?
Yeah.
Okay. So Brian Edwards, who is owner of Royal Oath Insurance Group, business partner, really good friend of mine, does a lot with the insurance world. Obviously, he owns an insurance company. But as a means of expanding, he was really looking at trying to bring more people on. And similar to how it is here at MacDon Associates, the time that exists with finding somebody just was lacking and made it really difficult. And so as a means of finding somebody, he came to you, said, hey, here's what I'm looking for, right? And brought somebody on who is absolutely crushing it here at MacDon. Her name is Anita. She's great. She's an awesome, not at MacDon, excuse me, at Royal Oath. Her office is right across the hall from mine. She's doing an amazing job when it comes to the home and auto, and she does business as well when it comes to the insurance. So absolutely crushing it as far as that goes. And had that initial conversation between Brian and you not taken place, Anita would never been hired. Her career would not be where it's at. Brian would still be looking for somebody, right? Like it go down the list, which is really cool for me to be able to see firsthand your process and your system work. Right here in this office. It's been really cool to see. So if there are any local businesses out there, obviously your website has been scrolling across the bottom of the screen. You can definitely go to that. You can check out his website, get more information, get his email, your phone number, all that stuff is on there, as well as we share an office here.
It's true.
Yeah. We have a lot of sports conversations on a consistent basis. Fellow Steelers fan over here.
Oh, yeah.
So
Steel country.
Yeah, that's right. They need to turn it on a little bit, but we'll that's a separate conversation. But you are also more than welcome to stop in the office here. I'd be happy to put you in contact with Erik. in BRUKA Solutions, just to get an idea of what he's all about, or set up a meeting and see if it makes sense for you to bring him on and hire some more people for your local business as well. So, man, super happy, super thankful that you were able to come into the studio today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. We'll have to do it again. Yeah.
Oh,
We start a
absolutely.
sports podcast.
Oh, we can do that.
Yeah. Steelers only. That's what we'll call it.
Even better.
I love
They better
it.
be good though.
Yeah. Well, if the team's good, it'll make it easy.
You're right.
Not quite there yet. But like I said, yeah, man, super thankful to have you on and excited to have you be a partner here within the office as well. It's a blessing.
Being here.
Yeah. I love it. Thank you guys for checking out today's episode of Tuesdays with Rory. Besides that, you guys all have a very blessed day. We'll see you.